We're now going to show you the business process for a salon. The first thing we're going to talk about is the salon queue. But before we do that, let's define what a turn is. In a salon, every time an employee goes up and performs a service, that's one turn. Nail salons also have a dollar minimum per turn. This means if one of the employees does a service and it doesn't meet the dollar minimum, then it is not considered a turn. The reason is to balance the money that each technician gets. This way, you don't have a technician that gets unlucky and performs 2 or 3 services with very little pay. To set the turn, go to the back office, into the company profile, and in the database tab. For our example, you'll notice that the amount for one turn is set to $15. So, if Amy goes in service and she performs a service that's $12, this does not meet the minimum per turn. So if we say she's done and she pays for the ticket, you notice that she goes back to the top of the line. If she starts another service, now she just performed $12 and she performs another $12 service. So this meets the minimum since the 12 and 12 is $24. So if we pay for it, you'll notice now she goes to the back of the queue. This forms the basis for our queue management system, which is designed to manage which technician is up next to help walk-in customers. Let's go back to the back office and into the company profile. And on the database tab, we have our queue order. We have different queue orders: FIFO, service count total, service total, and service count. FIFO. This means first in, first out, or round robin. If you put 2 technicians in service, the one who gets done first will be back in line first. For the first in, first out example, if you look at the salon queue, Tiffany is first and Jasmine is second. So let's put Tiffany in service first, and then we're going to put Jasmine in service. But let's say that Jasmine, even though she was second in service, let's say she got done first. And then let's say Tiffany gets done. You notice that even though originally Tiffany was ahead of Jasmine, whoever got done first is actually first in line now. So you see Jasmine was done first, so she's ahead of Tiffany now. That's first in, first out, or round robin. Let's go back to the company profile. We're back in the company profile. This time for the queue order, we're going to select service count. When we're managing the queue using the service count option, it takes the person with the lowest service count and puts them at the head of the queue. So in this example, you can see that Tiffany has 3 as a service count. Lisa is second with 5. So let's put Tiffany in service. She's going to complete a service. So this would give her 4 as the service count. Now, because it is still lower than everybody else, you'll notice that Tiffany goes back to the top of the line. Let's put her in service again. She should now has 5 as the service count. You notice that Tiffany goes to the end of where the 5 is. So she's behind Lisa and Jasmine, who also have 5. Because she just completed a service, she goes behind them. So that's the service count. We're back in the company profile, and for the queue order, this time we're going to select service count and service total. For the service count and total, it is almost the same as the service count queue option. However, if 2 technicians have the same service count, then they will use a tiebreaker, which will be the total service dollars. In our example, you can see Tiffany is first and Jasmine is second. They both have a service count of 1, and they both have a service total of $50. We're going to place Tiffany and Jasmine in service. For Tiffany, we're going to ring up a higher price service, so we're going to ring up a service for $50. And for Jasmine, we're going to ring up a service for only $25. Both are enough for a turn. On the queue, Jasmine is ahead of Tiffany. They both still have the same service count. However, the service total is different. For Jasmine, it is $75, and for Tiffany, it is $100. The smaller number will be first. We're back in the company profile. And for the queue order, this time we're going to choose the last option, which is the service total with service count. The service total and service count. It will first look at the service total. Whoever has the lowest total will be first. If two people have the same service total, it will look at the service count. So Lisa and Jasmine have the same service total and the same service count. We're going to put them both in service. For Lisa, we're going to add two services that cost $25. This is one turn. And Jasmine, we're going to add one service that costs $50. So you can see because they still have because Jasmine and Lisa still have the lowest service total numbers, they're still ahead. But because Jasmine has a service count of 5 and Lisa has a service count of 6, Jasmine wins the tiebreaker. So that's the last queue order option. We showed you the 4 automated queue management options, but if you wanted to, you can manually move the employees on the queue list. We're going to move Tiffany to number 1. Enable the move command. Select the employee you want to move, in this case Tiffany, then enter the position you want them to be in. So we're going to enter 1, OK, and you'll notice Tiffany is now ahead of the queue. So that's how you manually move employees on the queue. If you make a mistake and you want to put Tiffany back in her original position, you can override. Go to Functions, go to Manager, and then Clear Queue Override. This will place the employees in their original position. Be careful. If an employee starts a ticket, then you cannot clear the queue override. When you're looking for an employee, if you have a lot of employees, they may not all show up on the queue list. You can expand the queue window or shrink it. You can also shrink the size of each technician's button or expand it. You can reorganize the queue list, and this is for viewing purposes only, does not affect the queue management. So you can reorganize it by alphabetical order or go back to the number. Now that you know how the Salon queue management works, we'll show you the business work process settings. These settings are also in the company profile. We're in the company profile on the database tab, and in the lower right, you'll see the business work process settings. The first option we're going to show you is the monitor in service. So we have that selected. The monitor in service option is usually used in salons where a host directs the customer to the next available technician. So let's say a customer comes in and Jasmine is the next available technician. The host will set Jasmine in service. And what this simply does is let the system know that Jasmine is not available to help any other customers. We can set another technician in service. And of course, Lisa is now not available. So let's say Jasmine is finished with her service. We're in Jasmine's ticket. The host is going to add the services requested by the customer. Now, one of two things can happen. The customer may be ready to pay, or the customer may not be ready to pay. Either way, Jasmine needs to go back into queue. So let's say the customer is ready to pay. Pay for the ticket. And you can see that the ticket is closed and Jasmine is back in the queue according to the queue management rules that they set. We're going to go into Lisa's ticket. Let's say she's finished, but in her case, the customer is not ready to pay. They may be waiting for the nails to dry, for example. We're going to click Done. So Lisa is finished with her services, but the ticket is not closed because the customer has not paid for it. So that's the monitor in service option, and that's how it's used. Let's go back to the company profile. We're back in the company profile. Now we're going to choose the monitor in service with next technician option. It is very similar to the first option, but with a slight difference. Monitor in service with next technician. This is also used for salons who have a host that directs customers to the next available technician. The difference is when you set a technician as done, it will ask you if the customer is requesting another technician. So let's put Lisa in service. And let's say that Lisa is finished. The host will enter the services that the customer requested, and Lisa is done. You'll notice that this time, a list of technicians pop up. We're going to select Jasmine. Lisa is now finished, but it automatically moves the ticket under Jasmine's name. So that's the difference between the first two options. One will ask you if there's another technician that the customer requested. Let's go back to the company profile. This time we're going to select the last option in the business work process, which is to just create a ticket. With the just create ticket option, usually that means there's no host and the technicians handle their own tickets. So let's say a customer comes in and Jasmine is next in line. She's going to just go and help the customer. When she's done, she's going to select her name, and this will immediately start a ticket. She can then enter any services the customer requested, and if she's done, she can hit done, and she'll go back in the queue. So we just showed you the queue management and the business work process. Those are the two main settings that affects how a salon operates. There are other settings. We're going to show you the default logons. Let's go back to the company profile right now. We're in the company profile on the general information tab, and we have some enforced logon settings. So enforced logon for fast sale, enforced logon for appointment, and enforced logon for move queue. We're going to enable them. Once they're enabled, if we try to start a fast sale ticket, you'll notice that it asks us for the password. The employee who's starting the fast sale will have to enter their password before they can start a fast sale ticket. If we try to start an appointment, you'll notice the same thing. We have to enter our password before we can make an appointment. So whoever enters their password, that's who made the appointment. So now any appointments we make will be under the name of whoever logged on. And of course with the move queue, if we try to move someone on the queue, it asks us for a password before we can use that function. Let's go back to the company profile. We're going to turn off the enforced logon settings. Now when we start a fast sale ticket, it doesn't ask us to enter the password, but there's still someone it needs to record as the person who started the fast sale ticket. And that's the default logons that we set in the employee profile. So if we go to the back office, the employee profile, whoever is set as the default for the fast sale, appointment book, and move queue will be the name it uses for these actions. Let's go back to the company profile. We're in the general information tab. We're going to enable enforced logon when out of turn. What this does is if someone tries to go out of turn, it'll ask for a password. So we're going to put Karen out of turn, and it'll ask for a password in order to go out of turn. And that's the manager's password. We're going to disable that. Now when Karen tries to go out of turn, she can just go right ahead. So that's another business process setting that will affect how the salon operates from a day-to-day basis. Let's go back to the company profile again. We're in the company profile in the general information tab. There's a setting called allow multiple tickets for technician. If this is not checked, then a technician can only have one ticket in the in-service window. This can come into effect if the technician is helping a walk-in customer and then they have an appointment coming in. They will not be able to check in the appointment until they finish with the walk-in customer. So we'll leave this unchecked, and then we're going to go start a ticket. In this example, Karen is already helping a walk-in customer, but she has an appointment coming in. So let's try to check in the appointment. You'll notice that it does not allow you to start another ticket for Karen because she's already in service. That's because the multiple tickets are not allowed. We're back in the company profile. This time, we're going to allow multiple tickets for technicians. We're back on the main screen, and again, Karen has a walk-in customer she's already helping, so she has a ticket that's already been started, but she has an appointment that's coming in. Select the appointment and check the appointment in. Start service, and you'll notice it allows us to check the customer in. If we go back to the in-service window, Karen has 2 tickets, one for the walk-in and one for the appointment. We just showed you the queue management and the business work process settings that can affect how the salons use our software. You need to understand what these settings do so you can configure it to match how each salon operates on a day-to-day basis.